Okay.
All right, we are
live. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. It is Super Bowl Sunday, and
That's right.
John and I thought we would pregame with some immigration questions because that's what you all want to do is pregame your Super Bowl.
Super Bowl is boring compared to having your immigration questions answered right here.
So boring, right?
So we always come to you every week on Wednesdays from 6 to 7. However, last Wednesday we were driving, got caught in some traffic, and couldn't make it. So we had to punt. Pardon the football pun there. Had to punt.
We should have so many of those tonight.
Yeah,
we really should.
Pun definitely achieved, but it wasn't intended. But we had to punt until Super Bowl Sunday. So we're gonna move fast and we're gonna get through everything. We know everyone's got, chili and crock pots and nachos and wings to tend to get ready for the game. So that's cool. We get that completely, but we do want to get all your questions answered because that's what we like to do here first and foremost. And those who are just signing in, my name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we are the law firm Gardner and Mendoza. And again, we come here to answer your questions.
And we're seeing some familiar faces. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I see Miss Hilda. I see Aunt Jill. Mm-hmm. Great to see Gardner Mendoza. Great to see you, Jill. And we heard Uncle Frank this morning.
Oh, Frank was fire today.
Fire.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, my uncle was on the sports radio station this morning talking basketball, and he was totally awesome. Did a great job. Good guest.
Hey guys, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I am monitoring the comments, so forgive me for looking down at my computer screen. I guess it's just me that I can see and John, but I'm not trying to look down from the camera. I'm just looking at questions. So hopefully you all send them in. Hello, Miss Evelina. How's it going? Hopefully you're feeling good about everything that's going on.
Right, so what we're going to do tonight, we are going to give you some USCIS updates. I'm going to talk to you briefly about some changes in marijuana law and what that means for us here in Virginia, and also specifically for non-US citizens. I'm going to remind you about the driving privilege card and the PPP round 2 that's out there right now. But mostly we want to answer questions. So if you have any questions, just put them in the comments there and we will get to them as soon as they come up. All right?
All right, we have a question, and I see your question, Ms. Salma. We're going to do a couple of things before we get to that question, but please keep them coming. Love it. So excited to see them. And did we talk about this is not legal advice? Did we talk about that already?
Oh, no, I did not make the disclaimer. Yes, thank you for reminding me. She's my lawyer, so she makes sure that I don't forget.
We actually have an attorney. We have a business attorney. So.
Right. So, yes, we are always reminded to remind you when you tune in and let you know that what we do here is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not legal advice, okay? I mean, we know what we're talking about. But we technically can't call it legal advice. The Virginia State Bar doesn't let us do that. So fair enough, we play by their rules. If you want it to become actual legal advice, just call us and become a client.
Oh yeah, fantastic. And we would love that. Okay, so let's see here.
I think I saw our old buddy Mel jumping in there.
Yes, my old roommate Mel
Mel,
Markey.
how are you, buddy?
Our groomsman, one of our groomsmen. I see Scott.
Yes, yeah.
I like Sunday nights. Sunday nights are good.
Sunday night is rocking. I love it. I love it. Okay, so here's a question already. Did you see this one?
I'm putting some questions down, and we are going to definitely answer the questions. Keep them coming. Love it.
Okay, why don't I do this while you're getting these queued up and you're looking at them?
I'm getting them queued up.
Why don't I right now, before we go any further, remind everybody about this marijuana situation, because this is getting a lot of chatter right now if you live in Virginia, and I just want to put out this warning for our clients, okay? I do criminal defense work. Probably 95% of my clients are not U.S. citizens, okay? So for all of those folks that are in that category listening, this is important, all right? You may have been hearing some news. Virginia looks like we're going to be joining in the near future 15 other states that have already legalized marijuana. So we've decriminalized it here in Virginia, but we haven't actually made it legal yet. But that's going to happen. Our General Assembly passed 2 versions of bills that are going to go to the governor. He's then going to be able to make changes, send them back. Once all 3 of those groups finalize one bill, that's going to become the new law in Virginia, of course, and it is going to make marijuana legal in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And by 2024, they're talking about having a whole government entity that's running this thing, dispensaries where you can buy it, the whole bit, just like Colorado, wherever else that they're doing it. Okay, so what's the warning? The warning is this, all right? If you're not a U.S. citizen, even though you may be getting excited about this change in the marijuana law, just please keep your powder dry, okay? That's the expression that I used earlier.
Yes, we had, instead of preparing for Facebook Live, we had a 15-minute discussion on what does keep your powder dry mean.
Yes, the expression keep your powder dry. Basically,
2 lawyers in the house. Just
keep calm, okay? Don't get overly excited. Just prepare for changes down the road. But most of all, don't do it if you're not a U.S. citizen, okay? Even if it becomes legal here in Virginia, okay? If you are not a U.S. citizen and you have a marijuana conviction, this can cause a lot of immigration problems for you, okay? Because it is still federal law, and just because the Commonwealth of Virginia says that marijuana will be legal in the future, and once it becomes legal in Virginia, all right, if you're not a U.S. citizen, you're still dealing with immigration law, which is federal, and you could be deported from the United States, have other problems, okay? So just don't do it for now, okay? If you want, if you want to use marijuana, and if it becomes legal, then, wow, gosh, I mean, totally not a problem, right? If that's what you want to do. Just make sure that you wait until after you've sworn in and have become a U.S. citizen. Okay, once you're a U.S. citizen, if you want to take advantage of the new law in Virginia legalizing marijuana, that's totally up to you. All right? But for now, this is my official warning to all of my clients and potential clients out there who are not U.S. citizens. Keep the powder dry. Okay.
Keep the powder dry. We have some comedians on. Our good friend Stephen DeCastro says that I blew my smoke out just now. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, Mel is saying, instead of just say no, just say not yet.
Just say not yet.
There you go. That's our public service announcement. Just say not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Not until the certificate, the naturalization certificate is in hand. All right.
Right. There is an exception for personal use of marijuana, and it's less than 30 grams, but you can run into trouble, especially if you're traveling outside of the United States as a lawful permanent resident and trying to come in, and your record comes up and maybe it's not clear that it was less than 30 grams, and oftentimes it's not clear that it's less than 30 grams. So just be careful and don't do it. Just say not yet. Yeah, great advice.
John Lennon helped us out a little bit.
That was him, yeah.
Not completely. The exception comes from, basically finding a way to keep Mr. Lennon in the United States at the time.
Yes, please don't pay attention, guys, to our law school friends who are on the comments.
They're keeping their powder dry, but
they're
okay. Anyway, let's just move right on.
They're immature.
That's right.
All right. So
that's the update on that.
Let me grab a question real quick. I'm gonna let me just pull this question up because it was sent to us via Facebook Messenger, and so we like to get questions. And this question came a couple of days ago, so let me go ahead and read the question from David. David says, which work visa is easier to obtain and has a higher quota as of now, H-2B or perm employment-based immigrant visa? Subject is an adult Filipino with verifiable chef experience. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. So there is no quota for perm per se. Well, let me back up a little bit. There are quotas, but currently the quota, so to speak, for perm, labor certification for permanent employment is current for Filipinos. So that could change in the future, but in my professional opinion, again, please don't take this as legal advice, and I think I know the situation here, that would be the preferred way to go. I believe that it's very difficult to get an H-2B as a chef. And it depends on, of course, where you work and the circumstances. Maybe your sponsor is in Florida, or maybe your sponsor is in the Outer Banks, and they can prove that restaurants are super busy in the summertime. And that is the case. But I personally think that it's the timing is tricky with H-2Bs. I'm not an H-2B expert. And if that's something that, David, you wanted to pursue, and if there was an actual petitioner that is willing to do it, then please reach out, and I will refer you to the company that we send our clients to when they have an H-2B question. So that is my answer to that question. Hopefully that answers it. But give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, David, if you want more, or if you want to do a follow-up. But that's a great question.
All right, another question that came in, I don't know if you captured that one, was essentially how long does it take from when your case gets approved? How long is it running now for your oath ceremony?
Depends. If you are in the Norfolk area, it can happen in 1 or 2 months, and that's what we're seeing right now. Sometimes there are cancellations when people maybe they have tested positive for COVID and they don't want to go to their swearing in. Thank you for not going to your swearing in if you have tested positive for COVID. I know that it's tempting because, gosh, it's my swearing in ceremony. I want to make it. I want to do it. Same applies for an interview. But we are having cancellations, last minute cancellations for oath swearing ins, and sometimes you can get put into that slot if you're lucky. But I would say 1 or 2 months. And next time we do Facebook Live, I'll have a much better idea, since we are meeting with someone who would be able to give us that information at the local office. So that's a great question. Another question that we had is, I want to renew my green card. I'm outside of the USA. When my green card expired, when my 11 years old, let's see here. I'm not sure I understand this question. I want to renew my green card outside of the United States. Maybe they were 11 years old when the green card expired. Dad is a citizen. I'm 22 years old now. So if the scenario is that you've been out of the United States for 11 years and your green card is expired, there's a good chance, and again, this is not legal advice, this is just generally speaking, there is a good chance that you have abandoned your lawful permanent resident status. Now, that is not always the case. There is some case law out there where someone has been outside of the United States for a very, very long time, and they have not abandoned. So it depends on your ties to the United States while you were out of the country for 11 years. Is that 11 plus 11 is 22, right? Yeah. So it depends on the ties that you had with the United States. And if you can show ties, then possibly you have not abandoned. But it's very difficult, especially with that amount of time not having your green card, and if it expired when you were 11. So, and now you're 22. Dad is a citizen. Dad can petition for you. Depends on, how old you're. 22. Depends on what country you're from. Of course, that can take some time because you're over 21 now. So you've gone into a different category. You've gone into the category of son or daughter over 21 of a U.S. citizen, and that is not a fast category for the most part. So thanks for that question. It's a fantastic question. It speaks to abandonment of lawful permanent residency while outside of the country, the visa bulletin for the son or daughter over 21 of a U.S. citizen. These are great questions. So please pop a follow-up question in the comments if you want to ask a follow-up question.
See how smart she is? I mean, this is I really
You
didn't.
had no idea that I was that I had so much information.
I didn't know what I was getting into.
It's 20 years, guys. I mean, if I can't answer these questions, then I mean, I don't know what to tell you. We've been doing this for a really long time.
So one question that came in, and I don't know the answer. And I don't know if you will either, because it's something pretty new, and that is whether vaccinations are somehow going to be required and tied to citizenship and going forward.
Good question for our cousin Jimmy.
Yeah.
Thanks for that question.
Hey Jimmy, how you doing?
There are no vaccinations required right now to become a U.S. citizen. There are vaccinations to become a lawful permanent resident of the United States, and some of those are tetanus. Some of the vaccinations also are to prevent childhood diseases. So like measles and mumps and rubella, those are required. So I think that if we have enough vaccinations in the future, then perhaps it could become a requirement. The flu vaccine is a requirement to become a lawful permanent resident on the medical. So that's a fantastic question. It's not to become a U.S. citizen, but it is to become a lawful permanent resident, which is the step right before that. So,
Right.
hope that answers. Okay, so we had a couple of other questions. Miss Evelina.
Can I obtain citizenship by way of a student visa?
By way of a student visa. So that's a good question. And let me go one step back. Okay, it says that cousin is here in Missouri on a scholarship visa. Mm-hmm. Congratulations to your cousin. That's awesome. So go one step back. And I think the question should be, can my cousin get lawful permanent residency at some point in time after she is done with her student visa? If she's a student, she'll have the opportunity to work, Evelina, after she finishes her, let's say, 4 years, and she'll be in the program called optional practical training. She'll be able to get a work permit for a year. If she is in any of the STEM programs, and that will be for 2 years. And so at that point, she has the opportunity to work for a company who would potentially sponsor her for an H-1B, and then down the road for labor certification slash perm, which is going to that earlier question. So there's definitely an opportunity for an F1 student to become go from non-immigrant to immigrant status, and that can be through employment. That's one way. And so the other way is if, say, she met her college sweetheart, right? And college sweetheart happens to be a U.S. citizen, and they get married, say 4 years down the road. I don't know what year she is. I didn't get married in college. I got married in law school. Well, after law school. So you do meet your sweetheart, right? During these times. So he's here to play pro baseball. Very cool. That's awesome. It's not a she, it's a he. So let's say he's here to play pro baseball. There's opportunities there for sure. I mean, if he has a stellar career, and he can get classified as a person of extraordinary ability, that would put him into the O1 category, maybe even the EB1 category, which is the permanent equivalent to the O1. But yes, there are definitely opportunities to go from F1 to a different status, which would perhaps put him in a more permanent position, getting him lawful permanent residency. But generally speaking, there are 2 ways to do that. Very, very generally speaking, that's through employment and through family marriage to a U.S. citizen specifically. We'll ignore the question from Steve. Everybody, just ignore those questions.
Let me go back for just a minute, because my cousin Jimmy said he was mainly talking about COVID, and I think we got that. But in case we weren't clear in our answer, there are certain vaccinations that are required now for certain immigration processes. So I think what we were trying to say is that it's not required now, but it's quite possible that it will be. I mean, there is precedent for a vaccine being required to become a permanent resident citizen. So it's quite possible that down the road, a COVID vaccine may be something that is incorporated into the law to become a permanent resident. which is,
Right.
of course, what you have to be before then going on to become a citizen. So
Right.
hopefully, Jimmy, that gets closer to directly answering what your question was if we didn't. Okay.
Well, we have another question for our friend Brian Gillette, and hopefully he's still on to
Hey, Brian, how
hear
are
the
you?
answer to the question. Brian is a Social Security disability attorney on the
Yep.
peninsula. He's awesome. He's been on our Facebook Live
He is.
with a lot of great and very helpful information about Social Security
Good lawyer,
disability.
smart guy. Just, yeah,
Great guy. Very, very knowledgeable, and
absolutely.
also gives to others lots of outreach to the community and also to attorneys. So his question was, how can a criminal conviction affect an individual's ability to gain citizenship? So I think that also goes a little bit to the marijuana, similar situation. If you are applying for U.S. citizenship, you're a lawful permanent resident, and you're doing it based on you have to be a person of good moral character for 5 years. So a criminal conviction, unless it falls under the petty offense exception, can impact the person's ability to naturalize and become a U.S. citizen. And we even have problems with speeding, which is called reckless driving here in Virginia. Maybe you can speak a little bit to reckless driving and how even something as common as speeding / reckless driving can impact a person's ability to become a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, sure. So for a DUI, there are some offenses that aren't necessarily a bar to becoming a citizen, but they can create a problem because, as Radlin said, if that conviction occurs and you're in that good behavior period, you're in the good moral character period, then that clock is going to have to start over. Additionally, if you are convicted of, say, reckless driving or a DUI, those charges typically, not so much for the reckless driving, but definitely for the DUI, they typically carry a period of good behavior. So if you get a sentence of 90 days in jail and the judge suspends all of that time on condition of 3 years of good behavior, well, during those 3 years, if you have more trouble, then you can be hauled back into court and the judge can reimpose that time. That also means that during those 3 years, since you're still technically under the court supervision, immigration is not going to take any final action on anything that you're trying to do. So if you have a good behavior period, you're basically going to be in a holding pattern during that time period, which is not great. So my advice to you, if you do have a criminal charge, obviously, is to try to get it out of the misdemeanor zone if you can. Some misdemeanors can really be a problem, even get you deported. But assuming it's not one of those, you still want to try to, keep that good behavior period down to an absolute minimum and try to get it from the misdemeanor down to an infraction so that it's something so minor that it's not going to create a problem for you.
Yes, it's something very surprising to our clients, and this happens sometimes when they go in for their test to become a U.S. citizen. They pass with flying colors. They're super, super excited. And then they have to swear in a couple of months later. And in between passing of that test and swearing in, they get a speeding ticket in Virginia, also known, depending on the speed.
Yeah.
And you can tell us about that in a second. They get a reckless driving ticket. And they cannot swear that applicant in until that reckless driving is completely done and adjudicated. So if you, John, maybe you can tell us what is a reckless driving?
If you have a lead foot and you have trouble with speeding, slow down. That's the first advice that I would have for you, of course. But if you're speeding, if you're going 20 miles per hour or more over the posted speed limit, regardless of what it is, okay, then it's reckless driving. If it's over 85 miles per hour, it used to be 80 for many, many years. This is a recent change. Then it's also reckless driving. Okay, so just be careful. If you're in a 55-mile speed limit zone, if you feel like you have to speed, because that's what you do, keep it at 74. Okay, 74.
Good tip.
In a 55 is your magic number. All right.
Right. Emily says, I'm staying home after taking my test.
Oh, yeah.
I think you'll be fine. But we have had had some issues. And
I had a client who had a DUI in that period and then had a good behavior period. It was just.
And he has to apply again
The
because
whole thing, it was terrible.
USCIS in Norfolk is not going to wait around for you to finish your case.
Yeah.
And they will for a little bit, but the time that it takes to do a reckless driving case or DUIs can sometimes be 6 months, depending on
absolutely
continuances
especially
and
now.
issues.
And let me be clear, a DUI, there will be time. It's an absolute given. So it's not like there's any way you can get your lawyer to just really argue hard for no jail time. It's not going to happen. All right, you are going to have some small amount of jail time, even if it's all suspended. And once you have a little bit of that jail time there suspended, you're going to be in this good behavior period. And at that point, really the most you can do, and I mean, I do this routinely, is, beg for that 3-year good behavior period to be cut down to 2, or usually I can even get it down to 1 year. That's really the goal once you're in that situation. So at least that wait is not as long.
Right. And then in the context of just if the person has not yet applied for U.S. citizenship, then that's going to delay. If they're on a 2-year good behavior period, then we would say, well, you're still in good behavior. We're not going to apply right now.
Right.
Because we need to wait until that good behavior period is over. And of course, that can be devastating to the applicant because maybe they're waiting to become a U.S. citizen to petition for their parents or their U.S. citizens, their spouse or a child. And so that really does throw a wrench in things. That's a really long answer to Brian's short question of how does a criminal conviction or charge or anything criminal affect a person's citizenship. It absolutely does, can, and will.
Yeah, you really need to be extra careful. And I know everybody out there always says, I don't have to worry about that because I would, I don't do anything like that. Nah, I wouldn't count on it. You never know. Life is a rich tapestry, and you may find yourself in a situation where, you've never had a problem in your entire life. And then one day you find yourself with a reckless driving ticket somewhere like on the Eastern Shore. You're 55 years old and you can't believe you got to go to court and that you could actually go to jail for it. All right.
Right. You've been presented with those facts before?
Many times.
I presume, absolutely.
Yeah, many times.
And then to tack on the situation of, oh my gosh, this is going to affect my citizenship application. Are you kidding me? This is a speeding ticket. Mm-hmm. And our clients and people just can't really believe that. So let's see if we have any questions. Miss Evelina, you are very welcome. She says, thank you for taking my case when you did. I'm not sure I could have handled the 2020 test. More questions, more pressure. And what Miss Evelina is referring to is if you filed your N400 application on or after December 8th of 2020, then you will be taking the new revised civics and history test. It has 128 questions. They will be asking 20 questions and you have to get 12 correct. The percentage is the same as the old test, but there are more questions to study and you will be orally asked more questions. If you filed before December 8th, then, if you get the first 6 correct while you're getting quizzed, then the officer will stop. Here, the officer must ask all 20 questions, which means it's going to be a longer interview. But anyhow, Miss Emily, you don't have to worry about that. But for those who have not filed yet, it's not something to worry about because you didn't know what the old test was anyway. So don't worry about it. It's still the same percentage. Mm-hmm. Just study.
Use flashcards.
Use flashcards is right. And while we're talking about citizenship, and Miss Evelyn, I hope that you spread this word to your friends, your family, and everyone else who's out there. We have Citizenship Day coming up on February 20th. And it's going to be a virtual event in this particular area. Our law firm is hosting the Citizenship Day. And so we are taking appointments. I don't think the link is up yet, but if you're not in Virginia Beach and you're in Maryland or Washington D.C. or Virginia or even Florida or Oregon, or there are events all across the United States on February 20th, 2021 for immigration attorneys primarily to assist you with completing that N400 application. So please, please, please get the word out there. I will put up a link. We want to do as many applications for free as possible. Evelina's probably like, why did I pay you? But what it is, essentially, virtually, it's going to be virtual, and that's going to give us the ability to help more people. And the immigration attorney is going to walk you through that N400 application and go through it step by step. Prior to that, you'll get screened to make sure that you are eligible to apply for a U.S. citizenship. They're going to screen you for the time you've been a lawful permanent resident, time of good moral character. And so please spread the word about Citizenship Day. And this is for lawful permanent residents who have been a permanent resident for either 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen, or 5 years, and you're ready to apply and take that big step and apply for citizenship. So.
Yes. All right, and a couple of questions. Yes, I am insinuating that you should not have a big burnout, blowout birthday. And to my cousin Jimmy's follow-up question regarding the DUI, Jimmy, those situations are complicated. Occasionally, we can figure out a way to resolve it if we can convince the prosecutor, or what we call a Commonwealth's attorney here in Virginia, that the person has left the United States because maybe the time they were here on some limited time visa has expired. They've gone back to their country. They're not going to be able to come back into the country. And sometimes a Commonwealth's attorney will decide that just resolving it somehow without their being present is better than having what typically happens is the case just goes into a fugitive file. So if somebody doesn't show up for their court date because their visa expired and they've now gone back to France to go about their life, and while they were here, they got the DUI, when they don't show up to court, regardless of the reason they're not there, the judge will issue what's called a capias, basically an arrest warrant, and they will go into a fugitive file. And the next time they enter the United States, when they are coming in, there'll be a hit on their prints and their information that there's an outstanding warrant for them in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and they'll be taken into custody and then go from there. But sometimes those cases are in a fugitive file for a long time, and prosecutors occasionally just, if we, they know that we are acting in good faith when we tell them that they're not going to be able to come back. Sometimes they will help us resolve those. But typically, to answer your question, no. If you get a DUI and you leave the country, no matter what the reason is, you're just going to be in a fugitive file. And if and until, I'm missing an and. I knew something seemed wrong there. If and until you re-enter the country. All right?
Awesome. Great questions tonight, guys.
Yeah,
I don't know. Give us a thumbs up if you think Facebook Live should be on a Sunday night instead of a Wednesday night.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that just now. Maybe Sunday night is a better night. Okay. We've been taking a lot of questions. Let me just fill in a few.
I'm still monitoring questions, so we'll talk a little bit and then.
But before we finish up tonight and are done, I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget to mention a couple of things. One, for all of our small business owners out there, or even medium-sized business owners, but if you have a company, you own a company, you have employees, make sure you look into the PPP Round 2 loans. For those of you who don't know, there was the Paycheck Protection Program that happened. That was legislation from last year. I think it started in April of 2020, and it basically allowed businesses to get a forgivable loan as long as they could show that they were using it for payroll and other office expenses like rent, and that they didn't let anybody go. That was the deal. The deal is you keep all your employees on, and this becomes a forgivable loan. There's now a Paycheck Protection Program Round 2 that is currently available. You may want to look into it. If you haven't applied for it the first time, you can apply now. If you got PPP the first time, you can still get it the second time if you can show that you had a 25% drop in sales from any quarter in 2020 versus any quarter in 2019. Okay? So you may want to run your numbers and see if it fits you. If it does, contact your bank immediately and apply for that, because it's a great program. It's a lifeline for a lot of businesses, and you can then apply again for it to be forgiven, so that this becomes a grant. Okay? That's the one thing that I wanted to make sure I told people about, because I know the first round of PPP was a hot situation. I mean, everybody was all over it. It was all over the news. Everybody was talking about it. PPP round 2 came out, and I mean, it just kind of came in under the radar. I feel like I haven't really seen a whole lot of people talking about it. It's not consuming the news at all. All right. And this is, just to be clear, I'm not talking about this current bill that's going through reconciliation right now. That's not what I'm talking about. This PPP round 2 is already out there. All right. Also, unless you have a question you want to take real quick.
I do have a question, and
I'll
answer
and then I'll
it,
come back.
and then you can come back.
Yep.
Hello to Miss Deanna. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Alpash, thank you so much for joining us. And let's see, I have to get these questions before they disappear. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna just copy and paste that. Sorry, guys. It's okay. There's a little silence here. We've been talking a lot, so we can take a breather, and y'all can hear. There's a pause. All right. So, Ms. Mitzi, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. She says, I can apply for the citizenship February 20th. I completed my 3 years this March 16th, 2021. Have been a permanent resident. So I think the question is, she has been a lawful permanent resident. She will have been a lawful permanent resident on March 16th, 2021 for 3 years. So she's eligible to apply for citizenship. And maybe, Ms. Mitzi, you're asking about whether you can take advantage of Citizenship Day on February 20th. And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. There are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, with regard to Citizenship Day, you're really only talking about a 3-week difference. That's one thing before you feel like you're eligible to apply for citizenship. But I also want to point out, and I don't know if this is your date, March 16, 2021, and you took that date and from your green card and you added 3 years to it. If you added 3 years to that and you came up with March 16th, 2021, then I wanted to just mention that you can apply for citizenship 90 days early. Okay, so 90 days early. So the answer is yes. You can take advantage of Citizenship Day. And for those of you guys who are out there, and there's only there's less than 90 days before your eligibility to apply for U.S. citizenship, whether you have been a lawful permanent resident for 3 years based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, or the 5 years, you can apply for citizenship 90 days early. All right, but make sure you make that calculation properly, because we don't want that to be sent back to you because you've applied too early. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And I think hopefully I answered your question, Ms. Mitzi. If I didn't, follow up in the comments. All right. So the next question that we have, and again, we really appreciate the questions.
Yeah.
It makes Facebook Live so much more fun.
Well, that's the main thing. That's the main thing we want to do here. Is try to answer questions.
That's our point, right? But I do want to, again, just for those who are in our Facebook Live, this is not legal advice. This is for educational purposes only. We are giving general immigration guidelines and criminal defense guidelines, and please do not rely on it. Check with your attorney if you have an attorney, or give us a call and we can set up a consultation with you. But the question he has or she has is, I'm a student and have lived in the United States for a year. Can I apply for asylum? So I will have to say that even though we in Virginia Beach, we do not do the asylum cases, our of counsel partner, Jim Tom Haynes, handles our asylum cases in Washington, D.C. But what this person is referring to is, you have to apply for political asylum within 1 year of arriving in the United States. Now, that is currently the rule, and there are some exceptions to that rule. And I believe, and again, this is where I'm fuzzy on that's based on, your inability for whatever reason not to make that 1 year deadline. Were you in the hospital? Was there a dire situation where you just could not file? And perhaps during COVID-19, that has been relaxed a little bit more. I would love to put you in touch with our attorney that handles that, since I'm not the go-to person for asylum at our law firm. But that said, if you don't meet those requirements with regard to showing that you absolutely could not file it within the 1 year, that is a provision in President Biden's bill, his American Citizenship bill of 2021. It is a proposed bill right now. It is not law. So, but that is one thing, and that's getting rid of that 1 year requirement. So that's a possibility there. But please reach out, send me a direct message, and I will definitely put you in touch with the right attorney at our law firm to help you with that. All right. Any other questions that we have here? I don't see any questions, but I wanted to mention, because we've had all questions tonight and no immigration update. Well, the immigration update that I wanted to let you all know about is of H-1B registration season coming up. And the registration for this year's H-1B season is beginning on March 9th through March 25th. So that's when you can register to be considered as part of the lottery. The second part of that is they are not doing the wage level registrations like was previously mentioned in our Facebook Lives. That is on pause until next December. So it is going to be the lottery as per usual and not doing the wage level. So, Miss Evelina, she's calling us out. Do we have an inspirational immigration story to share tonight? So John and I have been on vacation for a week with 8 children. So we didn't really want to publicize that much, just because, it's not really popular to be out and about in society right now. Right. So we're a little bit behind, and we were actually in traffic in Florida, which is why we couldn't make our Wednesday night. But we don't have an inspirational story tonight because the time just kind of got away from us with being on vacation.
We'll definitely do one next week, though. Absolutely.
But thanks so much for asking, because that means it's making a meaningful impact on you, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So I'm so thrilled that you asked about that. That's cool. But we were in Florida with 8 children. 3 of them were ours and nieces and nephews, and we had a wonderful time. And yes, you send your inspirational story in, Miss Evelina. Absolutely. Please do. And we had a great time, and everything was very socially distanced, and we all wore masks and felt fairly safe. So we just got back. Yep. God willing, we're all good.
Absolutely. So before we finish up here, I do want to remind everyone, as I do every week, that the new law in Virginia that went into effect on January 1st, the driving privilege card, DPC, is up and running. It is available. And basically, you can get a driving privilege card in Virginia that will allow you to drive in Virginia regardless of your immigration status. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. You can get the driving privilege card. You have to be able to pass the road test, pass the written test, show proof of insurance, and show that you live in Virginia and that you have earned money here, income, in the last 12 months prior to applying, and reported it on a tax return. Okay, I'm not going to get into all the details right now because we've been going for a while here, but if you have any questions about that, please give us a call, message us, send us an email, and I'd be happy to get more information for you or whoever it is that is interested in it. I also wanted to briefly mention that our friend Mel had joined us from Australia, I guess is where he lives now. Is that right?
Yes.
That's right. And Mel, I don't know, maybe the news gets down to Australia very slowly. If you're still watching, at the beginning you said go Hawks, and I just wanted to sadly let you know that the Seattle Seahawks are not one of the teams playing in the Super Bowl tonight. You may not have known that.
He said go Hawks, and I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Because we were going to schedule this Facebook Live at 7:30 or 7 p.m. and we had to change the time because we realized it was Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we going to turn the TV on and watch the game?
Yeah, of course.
We don't have snacks though. We got to get the snacks.
I'm gonna get them.
Chicken wings.
No, I'll get them.
Buffalo chicken wings. That's what I think about when I think about Super Bowl. All right, let me see if I have any more updates. Really quickly. And when I say really quickly, usually it's not, right? It's not that quick. But I still have a practice tip that I just want to give you all, going back to the American Citizenship Act 2021 proposed immigration bill by President Biden. Please do not hire anyone to do your case for that, because it's not here yet. It's okay to go talk to an immigration attorney and get a consultation and get a complete evaluation of your case to see what you may be eligible for. We do that. We talk to people, and sometimes we, even on the phone, when we're doing intake, we don't know. We don't know. There could be a little nugget there that we can use to help. But with regard to this new proposed legislation, you should not be paying anyone right now to sign up for the new proposed legislation, because it's not here yet and we have no idea what it's going to look like. So one of my colleagues was talking about a flyer that she had seen another attorney putting out, and kind of had some sort of a layaway program to get started on their case. There is no case to get started on. Getting an evaluation of your case, that's a completely different thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just as far as signing up to file and apply for something that's not here yet. So that is our public service announcement. Please, please, please be careful out there, because when there is opportunity, then there are people out there who take advantage of the community. And we've seen that time and time again. We've seen it, and it's sad. It's sad because, there's so many people that are desperate right out there who want to get a benefit, who want to be able to get something to lead to lawful permanent resident status, or just something to legalize their status. So it's people are in a desperate state, and we just want you to be careful. Please don't sign up for anything right now. It's a little bit too early. I think, as John mentioned last Wednesday, we probably won't even hear anything We're always going to be given the weekly updates about what's going on. Is it moving? It's kind of like moving forward, moving backwards, but it's going to take a long time.
Absolutely.
It's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
And when I say long, I'm talking months, 9,
Yes.
10, 11, 12, year and a half of perhaps of just watching this and seeing what happens with the voting and all that stuff that happens when a bill is passed.
That's right.
So just be careful out there, please, guys, because we really do truly care about our community, and our goal is just to help as many people as possible. And through our Facebook Lives, we want to share as much information as we can to help the community. I know that everyone can't afford an immigration attorney. And if that's you and you really need help, reach out to us. We can refer you to places, and we also even do pro bono work as well. So just reach out to us. We're here, and we will steer you in the right direction.
And Jimmy, no predictions, by the way, but I guess I will. I think I am going to pull for the old guy. As an older guy, I'm going to pull for the older guy. So that means Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
I'm not predicting they'll win, but I got to root for somebody. I don't have a dog in the fight at all, so that's going to be my pick.
And if any of you guys are on Clubhouse, please reach out and follow us, because we do start rooms. We've started 3 or 4 rooms now with other immigration attorneys, and we talk about citizenship. We did something fun last week, and we quizzed John on all of the new naturalization questions, and he got them all right. And then he asked me 2, and I got the 2 wrong, so I need to study.
Some of them are, you should definitely study.
Thanks, Miss Evelina. I really appreciate that. Evelina says we do a good job at keeping our clients at peace, and that is what we're here for.
Yep.
We John and I, we want to take the burden off of your shoulders, and that's what we tell our clients when we meet with them. Like, it's my problem now. You know, your problem is now my problem. Try not to worry about it.
All right, guys, if there aren't any more questions, go enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm going to steal a line from my uncle Frank Jesse when he was on the radio this morning. They asked him how he was doing in this time of COVID, and he said, well, I hope everyone out there is staying positive and testing negative.
Absolutely. And I want to give a shout out to Miss Anna Villanueva. Thank you so much for all of your support as well. And, you know, just sharing our posts and liking them. And again, I'm going to end with please tell your friends about Citizenship Day 2021. It's going to be a great event, and will save you thousands of dollars and also just get you the help that you need, and just make that perhaps final push to get you to file for U.S. citizenship if you're eligible. And we're gonna help out with that on that day. So February 20th, Citizenship Day. It's an all day, well, not all day, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. event, and there are, you know, community-based organizations all across the United States, not just here in Hampton Roads, but if you are in Hampton Roads, Gardner, Mendoza, we will be doing applications, and we're going to be super excited about it. So,
all right, everybody. Well, enjoy the game. Have a great night, and we'll see you here next time. All right.
Take care, guys. 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Take care.